So here we are on day 3 of 27. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't watched the first 2 videos, I do recommend going back and checking those out, especially the first one. I cover a lot of the basics of how to use the Hexatetraglyph. That's this game board sitting in front of me. You could call it an oracle board. You know, when I first designed it and started thinking about it, I wanted it to be a game in a way, because I think that when you play, when something's a little playful, helps you relax, and it kind of allows the unconscious to show up. So yeah, this does kind of look like a game board. I actually create this using a pen plotter machine. If you don't know what one of those are, it's like a little automated machine that I hook, that I attach a ink pen to. And so I have this drawn on black construction paper, silver ink, like a silver uniball pen. So each one I just do that. I print them out with the uniball pen. And then I build this frame out of, this one's made out of poplar, and typically I do it with balsa wood. But I have a little Etsy shop up now if you'd like one. The Etsy shop has just one item on it, but you can also just contact me and I'll make it according to the specs that you want. Balsa wood's really light, so it's easy to ship. The poplar's a little heavier, a little more solid. I'm still just experimenting. All of this is still in the early days. So not the early days of me envisioning this or designing it, but as far as making YouTube videos go, as far as actually building the game boards, I'll pick it up actually too, so you can kind of see it. I haven't even really shown you. That's what it looks like when you hold it. All right. So yeah, there it is. Remember, we have Jupiter working for us here in the center position. It's going to be our tiebreaker. But not only does it do tie breaking, if we get to a decision point and we need a tiebreaker, it can help us with that. But you will see it again on the final position, final game position before you reach your hexagram. So that's Z. Once you reach Z, where there's a lot of position Z on this board, you'll notice there's only 2 position A tiles, I guess you could call them, but there's 64 Z tiles, right? So that's because the board branches out. It's kind of like a fractal design, and it's a bit like a decision tree. So once you reach position Z, though, wherever that might be, your center tile comes back into play. All right, so I will be able to use Jupiter at some point. In this case, I might. We'll see what happens. We'll see how we're feeling. Now remember, yesterday we were on B. We had the moon on B. So the moon was on this yin B tile. I'll just usually call the positions tiles. When I first designed this board, it looked a lot like a chessboard. I have some really pretty looking designs, but I would have to spend a lot of money to actually build them. I'd have to buy some, exotic wood and get some hand tools and stuff. So that's why I'm sticking with this for now. But they look like tiles in my original design. So if you hear me call a position a tile, just know that each lettered position, I might call it a tile. All right, so the moon was there. We looked at 3 cards. These were the cards that we worked with yesterday. Temperance, the 7 of Cups, and the 10 of Swords. I'd love to hear how that went for you. Temperance was the first card that I drew that felt positive to me. It actually gave me a little reassurance. Up until then, the previous 5 cards I'd worked with, they were all kind of shadow work. They were all pretty dark. Temperance showed me, well, there is some good in having some soft boundaries, right? All right, I'm a Cancer crab. I'm a little bit of a soft shell crab. There's some good to that. I can look at people who are different than me and be interested in what they do and be accepting and be actually really fascinated. I wanted to be an anthropologist. I was trying to figure out a way to be an anthropologist when I was in college. It's not an easy career field to follow, but that's a discussion for another day. I'm kind of rambling, but I'm just trying to get some discussion going so that if you'd like to share any sort of just realizations that you had from the work we've done so far, please do. One thing that I would like to also encourage is when you do this kind of work, if your realizations are very abstract and they seem off topic, they seem like, how did I come up with that? You know, like that doesn't, this realization that I'm having, this epiphany that I'm having, it doesn't correspond with the astrological setup or the tarot cards. That's okay. You know, just allow it all to come forth. I think that's the power of this. It's trying to get you to see things, patterns and ideas, and have intuitive insights that otherwise might not be available to you, right? So try to withhold judgment and also realize we're working with the whole entire deck here. So the big pattern might become more clear when we're closer to day 27, or maybe on day 27 once we pull the I Ching out. So today we're going to pull two new planets. Oh, I got the same as yesterday, right? So here we go again. We already know I'm putting the moon. The moon is still in Pisces today. So the moon's going there and the sun is still in Leo. This is 3 days in a row that I've drawn the sun. The sun in Leo. But this is what it's like when you just play real and live and you say, well, I guess the sun is really trying to give me a message. The sun in Leo is not messing around right now. So we're going to go ahead and go with the sun in Leo and say, what are you trying to tell me? What is the sun in Leo trying to convey? We've read out of this book, Sun in Leo, but let's just go ahead and visit it one more time here. As I've mentioned, I've just decided that we're going to kind of play around with this. Astrology by Carol Taylor. I learned about this book listening to Chris Brennan's astrology podcast. He had her on as a guest, and she knows her stuff. You know, this might look like a kid's book, but you know, she's definitely very knowledgeable. So it's worth a listen, and I think this book's a nice little reference, especially if you're just getting familiar. That, you know, there's endless amount of information you can learn about astrology, and if you're a lot better at it than I am, if you're more knowledgeable, you can take this process further probably than what I'm able to do. You know, if you want to look at the aspects and things like that, you know, go for it. Or the lunar mansions, as I mentioned before, there's a way to incorporate those as well. Okay, so let's see, the sun in Leo. Just to revisit this, you seek to shine your light boldly and brightly, having the capacity to take on a role of leadership. It is important for you to be admired. Well, I guess I get to go back and kind of reconsider that again now. We've talked about that. Then I talked more about my introverted side. So it would be time now to pull out the old journal and get to writing. All right, so let's come up with a question. Take a few minutes. We're back to the sun in Leo. All right, and you know what comes next. We're going to try to answer our question. We're trying to explore this journal topic. We're trying to create a narrative surrounding this concept, sun in Leo. All right, we're trying to take that symbol and let it inspire our journal writing. And then we're going to take these 3 tarot cards. I haven't shuffled the deck at all. I just left it how it was since the first day. I think I'm just going to do like that. We'll just let the order come out as we go. And we're going to see what we got here. All right, the 10 of Cups, the Tower, and the 9 of Wands. So we will we're going to go over some keywords, but I think I was considering how to switch things up just a little bit, and I think today we'll do a little read. I was hoping I might pull a major arcana. I did. I got the Tower here. So let me see if I can find the Tower real quick. All right, so this is Jung and the Tarot, an Archetypal Journey by Sally Nichols. I like this book. She was a Jungian analyst who wrote about the tarot before it was trendy, and she mostly used more like a Marseille deck. She didn't seem to comment on the Rider-Waite too much, but she brings up a lot of archetypal sort of ideas. And so we're going to go here to page 283. And so let's just explore something a little different today besides just keywords. Nimrod's impious act evoked God's wrath and vengeance, resulting in disharmony and confusion of tongues on earth. We're talking about the story of the Tower of Babel. All right, giving us some archetypal imagery. A tower was originally conceived as a vehicle for connecting spirit and matter. It provided a staircase whereby the gods could descend and man ascend. The gods must find a way to enter by force if necessary. The effect of a thunderbolt on their lives will seem almost magical. I think that that's sort of a question about fate and exploring the shadow. If we do not address something that is happening in the unconscious, so it's too far removed from our conscious. It's buried. It's unacceptable. We've judged it to be unacceptable. It will eventually come back and impact our life in a way that feels like fate. So when you look at the tower, you see this, it's like Zeus throwing a thunderbolt down and lighting the tower on fire, knocking the crown off. The tower can symbolize any mental construct, be it political, philosophical, theological, or psychological, which we human beings build. Such towers are useful for protection against chaos, for occasional retreat. When we build a rigid system of any kind and crown it king, then we become its prisoners. And she says here, let us look at these poor souls once more and try to empathize with their situation. We've all been there. I mean, there's a lot that she writes in the book, but it's just nice to bring in a little more depth here. And just consider, I mean, here's the center of the reading. And I see on 2 sides, the way I'm kind of reading it for some reason is what's on the 2 sides of it. I think that this central card draws my attention. We'll just put some keywords up. So take some time, interpret these cards how you will. Use your intuition. Try not to judge them too much. Try not to judge your writing too much, but make a good effort to deeply explore the symbols. Is it a story? Is it a narrative? Is it a lesson? Is it medicine? And if you'd like to, share some of your insights. I would love to hear back from you. All right, well, today, once again, we had a yang choice. We chose the Sun in Leo, and therefore, these 3 cards will be placed in the top right side of the board to be counted up, tallied up later, at a later time when we reach position G. So right now we have more yang energy going on than yin. I'm just going to leave the Sun sitting there until tomorrow, so I remember where I'm at when I sit down to do this again tomorrow. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to leave them. And if you'd like to send me an email, you could do that as well. And with that said, I think we'll wrap it up, and we'll be back here tomorrow. Take care.